Hello everyone, welcome to AWS Tutorials. In AWS Tutorials, we provide workshops and exercises to learn about AWS services. These workshops and exercises are published to our website aws-dojo.com. Today, I am going to talk about comparing Glue Studio with Glue DataBrew. Generally, I talk about the topics and then I provide some hands-on labs to play with the topic, to do work on the topic. But today's topic is going to be a little different for me as well, because today there's no hands-on lab. We are primarily going to compare Glue Studio and Glue DataBrew and try to understand that then when to use Glue Studio versus when to use Glue DataBrew. And I'm particularly capturing this topic here because I have heard this question many times on my YouTube channels and also from my customers, that they find that there are a lot of common features between Glue Studio and Glue DataBrew, and they are literally confused that which tool to use and when. And I will today try to hopefully simplify and give you a perspective so that you can make decision about using a one tool over another depending on what type of job you are doing. Okay, so let's get started. So so just to give you a very simplified summary of what Glue Studio is versus what Glue DataBrew is. And this page, in my opinion, is very important because it almost gives up the clue that when to use Glue Studio versus when to use DataBrew. So let's go through that. So if you look at the Glue Studio definition and go and search about Glue Studio definitions in the AWS documentation, you will find two things, in fact three things about Glue Studio. First, it is a visual tool. That means it's a visually interactive tool. It is used for writing ETL jobs. Yeah, this is very important. It is used for writing ETL jobs. Plus, it also provides you a single pane view about your job parameters. So you can monitor your jobs from a single screen. So three key points with the Glue Studio. It's a visual tool, it is used for writing ETL jobs, and it provides monitoring across all the jobs through a single view. And if you look at the definition of Glue DataBrew, it's again a usual tool, but it is used for data preparation, and it also does data profiling. Now, when it comes to data preparation, that's where things get confusing, because in ETL also you do some kind of data transformation, and when you prepare your data, you also do some kind of data transformations. So it seems like that Glue Studio and DataBrew both are doing data transformation or data preparation, whatever word you want to use. Transformation probably is a more appropriate word in my opinion. And then you feel, okay, if both are doing data transformation, then how do I use one over another? But if you think from AWS messaging point of view, AWS messaging is that Glue Studio is for ETL jobs and Glue DataBrew is for data preparation. Okay, so Glue Studio is focusing on job part, but DataBrew is focusing on data part, and that's pretty much sets up the stage for differentiation. So for instance, if your purpose is to write a typical ETL job, which extracts the data, extracts and loads the data, transforms, and then write, then it's more or less Glue Studio job, because you're typically writing an ETL thing here. Sorry, extract the data, transform, and then load. Then you're writing, you must be using Glue Studio because you're writing in a job for ETL. But if you want to do data profiling and you want to prepare your data for something like machine learning or analysis purposes, then DataBrew makes more sense. So Glue Studio is focused more across around the jobs, and DataBrew is focused more around data. And when I go into some of the specific features of these, you will realize slowly that Glue Studio is more job focused. So if I want to write a job, ETL job, I should be using Glue Studio. But if I just want to transform my data, prepare my data for analysis or machine learning purposes, then I should be using DataBrew. So let's try to build this narrative, okay, a bit more with more facts, with more features. So if I try to compare who should be using like Glue Studio versus DataBrew, keeping job and data as a focus area, your Glue Studio is more for ETL engineers because the Glue Studio is more job focused. So your ETL engineers should be using Glue Studio to prepare your to write your ETL script, your ETL jobs, yeah. And since Glue DataBrew is more data focused and you are preparing your data for analysis or machine learning purposes, the people who should be using the Glue DataBrew are more your business analyst or data scientist. Yeah. Now I have put 2 stars in front of data scientist because I want to remind myself to share something more. Data scientists not only prepare your data, but they do so many other things. So for instance, they prepare the data by doing feature engineering, data normalizations, cleansing, and that kind of thing. And after that, they actually train their models, and then they optimize their models, they do tuning of their models, and then they do deployment of their models for the application purposes. So data scientists do all these things, yeah, all the way from data preparation to deploying a model for the application usage purposes, for the real purpose, a real use case. So since data scientists can use DataBrew, doesn't mean that DataBrew provides you all the steps. DataBrew helps you only for the data preparation part, data transformation part, where you are normalizing your data, cleansing your data, doing feature engineering. That part Glue DataBrew helps, but it does not help in training your data, training your model, optimizing your model, or deploying your model. And that's why I put 2 asterisks over here. The data scientist should use and can use DataBrew, but only for data preparation purposes. And of course, business analysts also try to visualize and prepare their data, and they can also use Glue DataBrew. So role-wise, ETL engineers should be using Studio, while business analysts and data scientists should be using the Brew. So moving on, how does Glue Studio works versus Glue DataBrew works? And this is where things like you will see a lot of commonalities, but there are differences as well, okay? And differences is when you try to see each of these things in little more details. So for instance, if you talk about the Glue Studio, it's a typical ETL process. You are extracting your data, so you are reading your source data, you are transforming your data, and then you are loading your data. That means you are writing your data to target. That's the ETL typical ETL thing, and that's what a Glue Studio job does, or say Glue job build inside Glue Studio does. Extract, transform, load, nothing more. But if you look at Glue DataBrew, it can read from the source, it can transform data, it can write the output of the transform data. So it can do a loading, but I don't want to use the word loading here. I'll tell you why. We'll go into this detail. But it can output your transform data. But other than that, it can also do data profiling. It can also, and you can also preview your transformation. And if you look at this whole thing into more now bigger picture, you'll find that again, DataBrew is very much data focused, because you're doing a data profiling. That means you are generating statistics of your data in general, in the holistic fashion, and also at the column level, to see that how balanced your data is, how normalized your data is, what is the data quality. Those aspects you are looking into your data profiling part. And when you are doing data transformation, you are actually performing a transformation on the fly. You're previewing your transformation to see how my transformation look like. So again, if you look at these two more features and try to put together with the what look like a typical ETL thing within DataBrew, you will again find that again the focus is more on data preparation and data part, and that's why DataBrew is more suitable tool for visual data transformation. Not for, it can do ETL, but not a suitable tool for ETL. For if it comes to ETL job, you should be going to typical Glue Studio. You should be going to Glue Studio to build your Glue job. So let's try to understand some of these things with the features. So if you try to compare reading from the source, okay, let's try to compare reading from the source. So extract part. So if you look at the Glue Studio can read data from S3, from the Glue catalog, which again gives it opportunity to read from cataloged S3 data, RDS, Redshift, Kinesis, Kafka. Yeah, these are the sources it can read from. Glue Studio also support custom connectors, so you can actually reach out to any JDBC endpoint as long as you have a JDBC driver and you can create a connector to talk to that. Yeah. If you look at the Glue DataBrew, it talks about manual upload. It talks about talking to JDBC connections or Redshift, talking to catalog, talking to data exchange. And data exchange is a kind of a data marketplace on AWS, where people like data producers can actually put their data for subscription. Then it supports Amazon Airflow, which is still under preview, but it supports Amazon Airflow, which an Airflow is used to actually provide integration with SaaS applications. So that means your DataBrew can bring data from SaaS applications. It can talk to Snowflake, okay, which is a partner solution running on AWS. So if you try to, if you see that the catalog of how these two can read from data sources and try to see Glue Studio, you see Kinesis and Kafka. That tells a lot, because Kinesis and Kafka both support streaming data. That and most of time you want your streaming data. Streaming data means like data is coming from sources like IoT or like from social media, very high throughput streaming data coming to you. And many times you need to write an ETL job on such streaming data to transform and load it to some source, some place, right? So Glue supports streaming data, which Glue Studio supports streaming data. That again more of an ETL nature, right? And if you look at DataBrew, it supports manual upload. Yeah, I mean, generally in ETL, you don't do manual upload. Yeah, keep that in mind, guys. It's a very big, you can see a differentiator here. Because in ETL, you don't want to do manual upload. Your ETLs are automated data transformation, automated data uploads. So it supports manual upload, which again tells that it is more for data profiling and preparation. It supports integration with third-party data provider, having their data on data exchange marketplace, SaaS applications through Airflow and Snowflake. So again, DataBrew is more focused on able to analyze data from different data sources. And and biggest thing, it supports manual upload, which kind of gives the impression that it is not for ETL, but it is for more of analyzing and transforming your data. If we go to the transformation, you will find more clues which suggest the things we have been talking so far. So if you look at Glue Studio, it supports typical all the PySpark transformations. Typical PySpark transformations. But then if you look at Glue DataBrew, it supports data transformation. By the way, it has got more than 250 built-in transformation. It supports data transformation, but it has a long list of ML transformations. So if you look at the Glue Studio, only one field which supports ML transformation, that is fill missing values. And I'm going to create a video about this particular feature in Glue Studio. My lab is already ready and published. I just need to make a video on that. But the fill missing value is a transformation in Glue Studio which actually can use machine learning to fill the missing values in your data. So if you look at the Glue Studio, other than fill missing value, which is a machine learning based transformation, everything else is a PySpark transformation, which is for data engineering purposes. But if you look at the Glue DataBrew, yes, it does has data transformations, data operations, joining and splitting and those kind of things, but it has a long list of machine learning transformations, like identifying and learning outliers, doing binning of your data, binarization of your data, doing one-hot encoding and those kind of things, column encoding, your text value tokenization. All these transformations are typical machine learning transformations which you perform on your data in order to do feature engineering on your data. So if you look at the transformation set, you will find that DataBrew is more towards making your data ready for both machine learning and journal analysis purposes. While Studio, most of the transformations are typical ETL PySpark transformation, more suited for ETL job than for machine learning purposes. So comparing the transformation gives again the same kind of clue or emphasis that Glue Studio is more for jobs, while Glue DataBrew is more for data transformations and analysis. Let's try to talk few more things. Now, there are few more things which Glue DataBrew has, but Glue Studio does not have. And that again gives a focus that DataBrew is focused more on data. It has a preview transformation feature. That means you can apply a transformation and then you can see, okay, if I apply this transformation, how does before you apply, like you define your transformation and then you can see the preview of the transformation before you apply it. So you can literally see, okay, if I try to apply this transformation, how does my outcome look like? And am I going to accept it or not accept it? That kind of things Glue DataBrew does. Again, focusing more on data and analysis part. Another thing which DataBrew do from transformation point of view is publish and share recipe. So when you perform data transformation in Glue DataBrew, you can actually, whatever transformation you perform, actually that becomes a kind of a step in a recipe. So you can have recipe. In a recipe you can have multiple steps, and each step is nothing but like a transformation you perform on your data. Now this recipe you can publish and you can share. That means I can create a recipe and I can share with other people in my team so that they don't need to create this whole transformation from the scratch. They can simply use the transformation I have bundled under the recipe. Again, this is something which is more towards reusing the transformation and sharing with the other people, so that people don't have to like for instance, you build a transformation for one hot encoding, then you don't want other people to do that configuration again. You can simply use your transformation to or your recipe to perform the transformation. So again, it kind of enables sharing your work with other colleagues from the data transformation point of view. Now, if we talk about writing target, and that's where again the focus comes back, that why Glue Studio is more suitable for ETL job compared to DataBrew, is that when you talk about the Glue Studio, it can output its data to S3 and data catalog. That means if it can read from RDS, Redshift, JDBC endpoints, and S3, it can write to those endpoints, right? So typical ETL thing, what I can read from, I can write to as well. But if you look at the DataBrew, if you look at DataBrew, it just supports S3. It just supports S3, which gives us the impression that it is not for ETL purposes. Because in ETL purpose, if you're reading from, you might be reading from S3 writing to Redshift, reading from Redshift writing to S3. You can also write your custom, those kind of things. You can really write a custom code inside Glue Studio to call an API and write or read data from there. So in Glue Studio, you have complete control over your code in terms of from where you want to read and write as well. In Glue DataBrew, you don't have control over a code. All you have to use an out-of-box transformation, and all you can write to is an S3 bucket. So it seems like that your DataBrew is more suitable. It's more of a messaging is that, okay, you did your transformation, okay, you like it. Do you want a copy of that or output of that? Okay, put that into S3 bucket. So that's the purpose. You might be reading data from Redshift or RDS, or I don't know, some SaaS applications or some third-party data provider data. You perform some transformations, you like the outcome, and say, okay, can I save my data? Because DataBrew does not change data at the source. DataBrew does not change your data at the source. That's the bottom line. So you say, okay, I like my output. Can I save it somewhere? And Brew says, oh yeah, fine, why not? Let's write to the S3 bucket. So again, the purpose of the DataBrew target is to write data, just provide a way to get an outcome of the data, save somewhere. While if you look at the Glue Studio, it supports S3 and data catalog both, which makes it a true ETL, because whatever sources it can read from, the same target it can write to as well. Okay, moving on. Few things which Studio can do but DataBrew cannot do. Studio has built-in monitoring of the jobs. So again, Glue Studio is focused on job, and it can do monitoring of the jobs, and you can monitor all your jobs from a single pane. You can see how many jobs you run, how many were successful, how many failed, what is the duration of the job, what was the DPU consumption, what was the DPU allocated. You can see a whole lot of information which gives a good idea about your job run statistics as well as performance statistics. This DataBrew does not have. And again, that gives the impression that Glue Studio is more job focused. In DataBrew, you have something called data profiling. So when you load data into DataBrew using a data set, you can do profiling of your data. So you can see your data statistics as a whole, and you can also see your data statistics at the column level. And it provides a lot of information in terms of how normalized or balanced your data is, what is your data quality, how does the standard deviations and mean and medians, those parameters look like. So Glue DataBrew can do data profiling, which your Glue Studio cannot do, and that gives again an impression that DataBrew is more data focused. DataBrew can also provide data lineage. So it can show, though I somehow could not find, and that could be my opinion, guys, I could not find much use of it when I'm preparing my data. If I'm preparing my data for DataBrew, so all I'm interested, okay, from where I read my data and where I put my data. And generally it's a very simple thing. I read data from, say, Redshift, I put into this S3 bucket, but it does provide a lineage information, which is a good information, beautiful information, nicely graphed, but I personally don't find much use of it. But yeah, it's a good information to know. So DataBrew can do data lineage while Studio cannot do the data lineage. Okay. Again, giving you an impression that it is more data focused. So if I try to look back the whole thing, you would have seen even enough evidences through the reading from the source or type kind of transformation you can perform and what target you can write into. If I can simplify it again, and again I have talked many times, but one more time just to summarize, is that if you want to write an ETL job, then your Glue Studio is the tool to be used. So your ETL engineer should be using Glue Studio. But if you want to do data profiling, if you want to do data transformation, for the analysis or machine learning purposes, then it should be Glue DataBrew, which you should be using. So if focus is just on data and getting some outcome of the data, then you should be using Glue DataBrew. You do have an opportunity to like automate the whole transformation thing, but again, keep in mind that all it can do is write your data to S3 bucket, and that seems like more of a purpose, more for the purpose of like getting the some tangible outcome back. So okay, I performed the transformation. Can I get a copy of it, please? And that you get into S3 bucket. But it's not a true ETL, because true ETL should have capability to write to multiple data sources actually, which DataBrew does not have. DataBrew is just a target to the S3 bucket. So yeah, in one line, if you want to write an ETL job, try to use Glue Studio. And if you just want to prepare your data, analyze your data, profile your data, then use Glue DataBrew. So that was all for today, guys. Hope the video makes sense and it gave you some clarity. And I have been very repetitive for a lot of things today, but I think it was very important. I put my perspective and my thinking that how I see these tools and where and how they should be used. Hope you like it, and if you like, please click on the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. Please do visit to our website aws-dojo.com, where there are many more exercises and workshops. In fact, I have many exercises and workshops for both Glue Studio and Glue DataBrew, which you can use to get hands-on experience. We always look forward to your feedback, whether it is for the new content or for correcting something which we have done a mistake in our video, or it could be a question about something I talked about, anything you want to clarify or try, or you have some follow-up question. You can always reach out to me either through the comment section in the YouTube channel, or you can visit to our website and can provide your feedback from there as well. So I promise to come back again in a week's time with another video. In the meantime, stay safe and have a nice day. Bye-bye.